There's more members there than the BPW board, so they got to have a bigger table than we do. We don't talk about them much, but we have a bigger TV than them, so.
Is it still televised? Is it live streamed when you, because you could, it used to be, I don't know if you could still do that or not, but you can, the council meetings?
Both are.
Are they?
Yep. I can hear myself coming through on YouTube. So I'm going to shut that off because otherwise I'll be hearing voices in my head. All right.
It probably has something to do, but you're right.
We are live online, and I understand that. But we're getting the PowerPoint set up, so we'll start the presentation in just a minute. Okay.
Could you move that screen right over here?
I bet I could.
No, I'm just only kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't think the people in the back care.
They don't care. There isn't anybody in here, is there, besides us? Go ahead, talk about special treatment.
My customers, just work people showed up.
Okay, I think we finally have everything ready. Welcome to my public open house for the 32nd Street Water Main project. What makes this one special is this is mostly going to be a BPW project. There's a very small involvement with transportation right at the end for paving. So the main driver for this is our water main replacement. And kind of what's driving that is we started this kind of project 3-4 years ago. We closed down the west end of 32nd and did a water main project around Brooks and 32nd American Bottling. And so we're going to chase that down from where we left off at the railroad to city limits. That's where we get back to some new water main. For a quick introduction, I am Mark Gibson with the Holland BPW Water and Sewer Department. Brian White with the City of Holland could not make it tonight, but he is leading the charge on some of the pavement and road closures. So we got a quick PowerPoint to go through. Got some maps, some scopes, and schedules, and then question and answer. I will be watching the chat on YouTube, so everybody online, if you have questions, type them into the chat, and I will read them off and answer them as I can. Okay, scope. As I started this discussion, this water main is not that old compared to some that we have in the city, but what we're finding is the late vintage of cast iron is not meeting our expectations for service life. So a lot of this is the 1960s cast, and so it's just not surviving as well as we would like. So we're going to get in and replace this before the problems we're seeing really accelerate. Those that do live in Morningside, you may have seen us out there in the past few years putting some Band-Aids on a few breaks here and there, and we have had a few over up by Over-ISO Lumber on 32nd. So that's what's really driving this project is we're seeing an uptick in the frequency and interaction of brakes. The map online that we're showing does show a nice little gap at Waverly. We are not planning any work in the Waverly intersection. That includes paving limits and water main work. So as we talk about driving and access, we're going to do our best to stay out of Waverly and not mess around with what's going on in there. But that still, we got to cross Waverly. That will be interesting to be with. So Morningside, what we're planning on doing, Morningside and Kenwood neighborhood, is we will completely remove all the pavement on one side of the road, place the water main, get it tested, get folks connected to it, and then start rebuilding the pavement. That will include a new base coat and substrate on the one side, and then we'll mill what's remaining on the other side and give it a complete new top coat of pavement as we leave. 32nd, the lane markings don't quite show it, but what we're expecting is probably the northern lane in 32nd. So a lot of 32nd is like 4 or 5 lanes. We're gonna get into the lane right against the curb for most of the work. And if we need to, we'll start moving closer to taking up both of those westbound lanes. There'll probably be a lot of equipment storage and equipment traffic on that second westbound lane. So we're going to close all the westbound traffic. So we're going to do like a complete full pavement build on 32nd, and then the painful part will come at the end when we go for a full closure, mill and pave. I'll be sending some postcards with dates and expectations to everybody so that you can have some expectations about when things will go. We have some folks coming in that please sign in so I can contact you guys in the future to let you know about what's going on. Okay. Scope. So we are looking at I'm going to start in the end of Kenwood, because looking at things with the contractor and timing, they are looking to start in early April. And so in the big scheme of things, that puts us having heavy construction during tulip time. And if I do that in 32nd, probably be the end of me and most everything else. So we'll start the project in the neighborhood where the impact can be lower. And then after tulip time, that opens the gates into 32nd. But just sequencing of work, we probably won't be churning into 32nd until mid-June, July, just depending on progress and timing. So it's hard to very much tell on this very, very small screenshot I put in there, but there's 2 different hatchings on the road. One shows where the water mains on the typically north and east side of Morningside and Kenwood, and that will be the pavement that we remove. Put the new water main in, and then the second hatching, that's the other half of the road, is where we mill and pave. We're not planning on changing pavement locations at all or anything like that. It's just take out what's there and put back what we found.
So you're doing water, sanitary?
Sanitary it's an interesting vintage. The water is cast iron. The switch to ductile didn't come till a few years later. But the sanitary is PVC, and that is pretty much bulletproof so far. We haven't had any issues with the PVC sanitary in our entire system.
That's original to the subdivision?
Yes, it's a PVC truss, but it's PVC. And so we are not planning any work on the sanitary, and we'll touch on that in a second. We're not planning any rehab work on the sanitary. We'll get some new castings, reset stuff, fix things up. And there are a few vacant lots. So if you own one of the vacant lots and you want some service stubs put up for them, just let me know. We'll get some service stubs up to the vacant lots so that they're more readily buildable, because we don't want you guys to have to tear up a beautiful road. So we'll start in Kenwood. Probably the one interesting change here is, as things were built in Kenwood, my hydrant ended up at the end of the block, and then water main was extended out to the north to connect back up to 16th Street. Presents quite a headache with a telephone pole, power lines, a hydrant, and a further connection. So we're going to slide our hydrant out over to the first lot line there, to the kind of to the northeast, and just get it at the start of the cul-de-sac instead of at the very tip of the cul-de-sac. So that's one change that will happen, but otherwise, all things, you guys probably won't notice the difference. Water main's going to move over about 3 feet.
Is that where the water main circulates?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, so that connection was made to kind of give a back feed, and so that will be maintained. The new main will tie in to that scope. Just some more screenshots kind of showing, how we're going to bend and place this main. And if folks have individual questions on homes, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll take a look at the plan set, how things go. But our intent on this is that the only thing that should change from your perspective is new pavement when we're done. And so we're starting to get close to, YouTube's catching up, getting out into 32nd. This spot, as we churn from Morningside into 32nd, is the one spot that's really got me kind of twisting in the wind a little here. We have a small stretch of 32nd that's only about 2.5 lanes wide. Right now, the contractor's saying that he can get in with 1 lane closed, and we can still keep eastbound traffic. And that's what we've proposed and said. That might mean that we got to stretch out our work zone in that northern lane in 32nd, so they got some room to lay down pipe and move dirt and a lot of that. But we should be able to keep eastbound traffic moving in 32nd. If that changes, I'll let you know. But it should be a relatively short period of work as we kind of turn the corner from Morningside into 32nd. Because once we get past, I can't remember the other street name, we start widening up. We get the additional lanes, and so we can get more space to get work done and keep traffic moving.
The new road will stop at the city limit sign. It's the city limit.
Well, yes, and part of that is, I'm going to step away from the podium for just a second, but this main right here is that little jog. That's where new development had taken off. So this main from about the valve right here at the edge, almost the edge of city limits, is 1990s vintage duct iron. So I don't have any problems. That's the edge of my project. So I have a second mic to wander around the room. I promised I wasn't going to, but I already broke that promise. So the reason we're not going any farther than the city limit is really because the main is new on the east side of Morningside, so we don't have to replace it. So project limits, as we turn that corner, this is going to be one of our sticky points is getting through the 2-lane section. Thankfully, the crew that the contractor understands the impacts of this road. They did the first section just by chance. It was the same crew, same construction company that did the first section over by 31. And so they understand the impacts of the road, and how, there might be a few weeks when they're uncomfortable, but we got to squeeze through it and keep going. much the same thing as Morningside and Kenwood. You know, we work in one half of the road, keep it going. A couple of the interesting things that might be called on this plan set. There's a creek that passes through just west of Morningside, and there's a neat little bridge there. That spot in the water main and the spot up at the railroad, we're going to try structural water main lining. And we hired the company that just did the Gaslight Village in East Grand Rapids with their water main lining. And so we are going to line the water main in these two sections so that we do not have to excavate and go after this water main. It's particularly painful in the creek crossing over by Morningside with that bridge. I think there's portions of that are 20 feet deep. They placed that underneath that bridge and culvert. It's safe there, but it's hard to get to. So we're going to line both of those portions. That's one of the fun technical things from my side that makes this interesting. So we continue to work up through 32nd. We're not planning anything in Waverly at this point. We were able to take out some of the valve work in there. That might happen a few years down the road, but for this project, it's not one of our concerns. And our last side of our project limits are technically just west of the railroad, where we take off from where we ended a few years ago. Traffic flow, detours. Right now, what seems to be the smartest idea I can come up with, and I know I work for the government, so is just close westbound traffic. We have tried this. It was my project on Waverly a few years ago when we tried to keep one lane each direction as we worked in a couple lanes on Waverly. And it happened 5 or 6 times a day. We had people driving the wrong way down traffic. You know, you think, oh, we got barrels and cones and stay here. It caused so many problems that this time we're going to try just a one-way circulation of traffic out here. So the westbound, so folks coming into the city, that traffic will be stopped at Morningside. It will detour you up around 24th. You can also take 40th and just come back to the Waverly intersection.
Let's say that again. So you're going westbound on
So
32nd?
yes, if you're coming in westbound, so you let's say you come down Country Club, it doesn't show up, and you come in towards Morningside, we're going to close the road at Morningside. Local residents, you can still come in and get through that way. But all the folks transiting to farther west, we're going to tell them, no, you got to go around. So we'll keep access into Morningside and neighborhoods.
Come back to Country Club Road, up to 24th Street,
Yes.
come back.
Yes. Yeah. There's not a lot of connecting roads in here, and the connection through is it Johnson Controls? That's actually private as far as I can tell. So traffic control is going to be the kind of one of those pain points. Thankfully, with the way we're ordering the project, we probably only have to deal with this for a few months, where we got only the westbound traffic closed, and as we can, we're going to try to pull those barricades with us. You know, hey, if you get some main in, you get it installed. You know, let's get up into the wide section of 32nd and get a lot of this paved and moved on. You know, so the
Go east from Waverly to Morningside.
yes.
So we don't have to come west on.
You don't have to, but and I should note that's access to Morningside. There is another little subdivision in Productions Place and some other streets. They're going to have to come from Waverly and work their way eastbound. But we can slip a little bit of traffic around a barricade into Morningside.
What about speed limits? If you're gonna go down to one lane, and then us trying to turn left onto Morningside, I almost get rear-ended
it's we hadn't considered that. That's something really good that we can,
miles an hour and
okay.
maybe
We can adjust that. We can do it, we can even do a temporary construction zone speed limit. So we can adjust that. Thank you. Kind of the same thing, you know, when we get a little farther up to 32nd and a lot more. The nice part is the street's wider, so we can get a couple lanes coming eastbound, you know, just let things go. So that's, I think probably the most painful part is that traffic control portion. Any questions on that right now?
Will there ever be a time that the water will be turned off?
Oh, okay, so we'll get there, and I have one thought about traffic control. What's not shown on here is the full street closure to do the full mill and pave. Just mostly because we haven't gotten a commitment from the paver on how that's supposed to look yet. If we're gonna do one side versus the other, or just a full hard closure, and they work through the night, kind of thing. You know, to just get it done, get it paved, get it out of here. So we haven't worked out that is, but we will be looking at a full, just like Morningside and Kenwood, on 32nd, we will do a full paving course on the top course. So, details on the water work. One of the interesting things that's popped up is the water service replacement with galvanized steel. They call them lead service lines. I saw this when I cut my teeth early in my career in Grand Rapids. If you ever seen lead pipe, you understand why it was used as a murder weapon in Clue. Each foot weighs a ton, and it's very flexible. But we have no recorded lead lines in the city of Holland. Apparently, it was $50 more expensive to have a lead line put into your home than galvanized steel back in the day. So oddly enough, we don't have any lead service lines, whereas places like City of Grand Rapids, 80% of their lead service lines are actual lead material. So, interesting history to the city of Holland. But we still fall under the revised revised lead and copper rule. Wow. So since about 2018, we've been doing this where when we disturb a water service line, anything that was galvanized or once was connected to galvanized is replaced into the house and a new meter is set. On this project, there's about 12 I'm sure of, another 4 or 5 where my records are a little bit fuzzy. Some of it's from the 70s, and apparently nobody remembers the 70s. So I'll be sending out some letters to those that get affected by the water service replacement. It's a mandate from the state, free to the homeowner. They're trying to eliminate all the lead-containing parts in a water system. And what it was on the galvanized steel was the way they tapped the main. Now it's all brass, and we kind of cut this thing into the main. That connection done before then was lead pewter. And so it contained lead, and so it falls underneath this rule. So we are...
That's gonna go away.
Yes,
The line and new connections.
all that goes away. So even if you're, all that goes away in this project. So, and this picture is supposed to be showing how, in years past, we would just build the main and connect to the curb box and reconnect the house. For those that have the galvanized steel, we are going all the way into the home now. That is directional drill. And there's always going to be special cases and all that fun stuff. But we tend to talk with the homeowner, say, hey, we're going to drill in right next to it. Guy cuts a little hole. They nail it, bring the copper line in, they put it back. It's really no different than if you called a professional plumber and said, hey, I want this done. Same work method, same process. I'm just paying the bill instead of the
So I do
the
understand
homeowner.
if you have galvanized going from your house to the road, it's gonna be replaced?
Yes.
And most of us have galvanized.
I think in the neighborhood it's around 50 to 60%.
Is there a year that you can use, like, okay, what's the house?
So city ordinance was 1971. We did find out I think it was the January 1971 meeting, they passed ordinance that said from here on out it must be copper. It was being used since like 68 variably, depending on appetite of the homeowner and such, but ordinance it was 1971.
So if your house was built after 71 or so, nothing?
Probably nothing happening. You don't have the concerns of other folks.
Ours was in the sixties,
So
early sixties.
I will probably be sending you some letters.
So is there any expense to the homeowner?
No, no, state law is it's no expense to the homeowner. So just we have to do it with the project. I'm currently doing this on 18th Street because we had pretty decent records there. Seem to be, so far we've had really good luck just yanking some of the pipe right out, or being able to pick a galvanized, a drill to get that galvanized steel out of there. I want to say we're up to about 800 homes that we've done since 2018, and it's been, the first few years were a little rough. We had to learn a lot, and then now it's smoothed out quite a bit. So yeah, the water service replacement. That's
So at what point does it stop at the house, at the meter?
so what we do is meter. So we'll come through the wall. We set a meter, and then the plumber is to connect the house back. So if he moves over 3 feet to get a new spot for the meter, he's going to connect the meter back to the house. So the homeowner doesn't have to do anything to prepare for us. Doesn't have to do anything. You just be without water. So when they drill that in, I've been as short as 15 minutes without water, is because they get everything set up and then shut your water, and it's a professional plumber. It's not me, so they can move a lot quicker.
Do you use the same meter?
No, we're not. We're using this opportunity to try to get in, get everything done we can, and not come back and bother you folks. I'm aware.
We had water main from the house, the main work done, and then it backed up sand into our hot water tank and ruined that. How do
Yeah.
we prevent that?
So sometimes it's sand, sometimes this is the galvanized did not have the lead content, but what the galvanized did do is it collects the hardness of the water, scale. And so I usually have some fun stuff for show and tell, but a lot of the old galvanized you can hold, and a lot of them have been necked down to size of pencil tips. And so that's what, sometimes it's sand, sometimes a lot of times it's that scale breaking loose. And that's and so there's also construction techniques that we should be. So I think, and the other thing that could be happening is you get water main breaks, and we flush, and we directionally flush. When we get into this, a lot of that should go away. We're gonna get new main that's clean, scale free. We do construction techniques to get a high velocity flush in there and scour out the main and all this fun stuff. So a lot of those issues should go away.
We still replace the hot water heater if it happens.
I do fix everything I break. I try very hard to not have that happen. And so I think the last question is, what we have told the professional plumbers is they set the new meter, and they set the new meter horn, and then they place copper to connect the house.
They do have to get into the house.
Yes, and so they'll be in the basement for a few hours. The other interruption you'll see on water is when we do complete water main shutdowns to tie water mains together. I try to target either after breakfast or after lunch. I give the contractor a pick. Sometimes we'll do one end and then the other. And we try to use valving to limit as many people as possible so that that doesn't become an issue. When that happens, what I do is I get a white or orange door hanger and I write the time on it the day before, and I hang them on your front door saying, hey, we're going to shut off tomorrow at 8 a.m. Usually it's 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. And then we stand there with a watch, and we don't shut off until 9 a.m. sharp, and then we try to get going after it, try to get them set up so that it's off for as short as possible. But a lot of the water main tie-ins, 8-inch, I would guess around 2 hours, and if something's not fitting, maybe 3. So that you'll see that probably twice in a project, coming and going.
You're not planning to do any curbs and sidewalks?
I am not adding anything. So
Manholes will be all replaced.
the rims and where they meet the pavement. Yeah. So we don't have any issues in there to chase down. Did not even talk about this storm sewer and sump pump connections. If you have sump pumps that are collecting footing drains, clean water, that sort of thing, runoff, please don't put that in my sewer. It goes in the city storm sewer. So if you currently have a sump pump that is doing that, let us know, and we'll try to get you connected to the storm sewer instead of my sewer. And we do that free of charge if you talk to me during the project. Or if you are having a problem and you think you're going to put in a sump pump, talk to me, and we'll see about doing something to get you connected.
There's so much sand in that area.
Typically not.
Typically a problem.
No. And it's been interesting. There's my soil borings show clay in 32nd, and it's almost, you can almost turn the corner and to Morningside, and it turns into sand in the space of like 100 yards. And I've seen that on like 2 other spots in the city where that you cross that seam, and it goes from clay to sand in a heartbeat. So if you do need that, please let me know. Some expectations that you can have of me during construction. Mail service continues as normal, so they like to pretend we don't exist, and we like to pretend they don't exist. So that should continue as normal. I'm not aware of any tree removals planned at this point, but if we do, we've always done through a tree survey, make sure it's absolutely necessary, but we don't have any planned. We talked about the utility service interruption, and then night paving is possible. We haven't gotten a confirmation back, but that'd be the full, only on 32nd. We'd be looking at doing a full, full tandem top course to eliminate pavement seams. We think Morningside and Kenwood, we do one side and then try to do the same other side in the same day. But you would have base courses and a lot of that fun stuff. We'll send you some mailers or door hangers and all that fun stuff to let you know. Trash pickup. Probably my most frustrating day on the job. I had not planned for trash pickup to be a problem, but it's amazing. One trash truck gets stuck on your job and burns up. Nobody wants to drive on it anymore. And they refused to enter the job site, and we had to collect all the trash cans and bring them out. It was 32 homes and 31 trash cans. And we had to try to sort them back to the right house. So please put an address on your trash can. So if we have to move it, we can put it back at your house. But pretend like we're not there, put the trash in the end of the street like normal. 90% of the time, we can get the trash truck through and it will work. The rest of the time, it's a headache. But that's on me, not you. So just please, piece of duct tape and a magic marker, put your house number on a trash can, and then we can get it back to the right house.
Does this have to start in April?
In April. You'll know. We'll wake you up with heavy equipment. Sprinklers. we have to replace all the sprinklers that we break. And normally we bring in a professional irrigations folks to do that. So if you have sprinklers, please put a marker out by the heads. That saves us from finding them by accident. I mean, if need be, we can cut them out. Hopefully this isn't that much of a problem because we're more limited. We're just pretty much staying in the street on most of this stuff. I see this a lot more when we have to do like a new catch basin, storm sewer, and we're digging behind curb. We tend to find a lot of stuff still there, but I go around and around with the irrigation guys every year. They put them out by the road, and I'm like, that's actually in the right of way. And they're like, yeah, but you want to spray at the lawn, and I'm like, I have to fix it. So, but if we damage your sprinklers, let me know. We'll get them fixed eventually, and that. But also let me know so we can go make sure that it's not just dumping water in the middle of the yard. So that's sprinklers and mail service. Project did actually close on bid. It is Skipper's Construction. They just finished the 28th Street project over by the high school, and so they are working just fine there. And I'm 90. They've promised me the same crew that did the project already on 32nd, so they should have seen that and work and do this fine. So we're to the Q&A section here. Is there any other questions that are out there? Yeah, there was schedule. There was part of this was we were going around because when we first wrote this, it was debate if it was a full season of work. The contractor said he thinks it is. I was thinking we were about 2/3 to 3/4 of a season. It kind of depends on pipe production and weather and getting everything together. So they indicated they want to start as early as they can, which is May. So that puts them May to July and 32nd, and then probably July. Hopefully that means September when we could get good pavement out in 32nd.
Didn't I hear you say you wanted to start in April?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. We had the April start is. They always say April 1st. We've been able to start April 1st twice in 10 years. The guys that really get after it can get in there by the second, third week of April. Otherwise, it's May. If we have the interest, I can always hold a second public meeting when we finalize schedule and paving and stuff in the spring. Or if you think you guys understand it, I'll just send another letter or postcard with just a further info saying, hey, we've settled on a start date and a few of the other questions that pop up. So
it's just, are we in Q&A?
yeah, Q&A.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So it's just water?
Yes, water and paving.
That's it?
That's all that this project is going to entail.
Okay.
There's actually very little storm sewer because it's a lot of sand, and then with the hill and the creek, that's also like a big cut in storm sewer. So I don't have a lot of other utilities out here. Folks usually ask about fiber to home. Fiber to home started physical construction last week, believe it or not, in the cold. So they are currently building the backbone of the fiber network that the city's deploying. I want to say that's supposed to take, I think, like 3 to 6 months to get that initial backbone built. The general plan right now, from what I understand, is to follow the power lines. So if there's power lines, they'll just go down that pole 5-10 feet. One of the nice things when you own the utility, you get to go where the utility's at. So they're going to basically follow the power lines everywhere and build that out. If you want fiber, they're going to deploy the modems and the connections to homes in the neighborhoods with the highest uptake of fiber. So if you want fiber at your house, you can go to hollandbpw.com, and there's a whole section on fiber, and you can say I'm interested. And the more interest they get in a neighborhood, that means a higher rate of return on deploying the fiber to those areas.
You don't have an option not to do it, do you?
Oh, you don't have to. Yeah, fiber optics you don't. Power, water and sewer, yes, you are my customer whether you like it or not. Sorry.
We thank you for that.
So,
No gas component at all?
no, we've reached out to them. They didn't have any concerns in this area. And then, our sanitary sewer, my other asset is PVC. We haven't had any issues there, at this point. So, honestly speaking, we're here ahead of schedule because the water main has only had about a 50-year life. And normally we like to see that last a little longer. I have some water main in the very historic parts that is 1905, and it's still going strong, but it's sitting in sand. It gets a decent amount of flow through it, and I think it's old battleship cannons that they piece together. It's thicker than all get out, but it is. We're only here because that cast iron water main didn't last as long as we wanted it to, and so we're gonna try to limit our footprint and get in and out and get it done.
So with the new fire station on the corner of Waverly,
Mm-hmm.
32nd now, there will never be a time they can't get out to our subdivision.
So yeah, driveway, we brushed over that. Expectations, driveways, we didn't talk about it, expectations. Especially with just one utility, underground utility, we expect you to have daily access to your home, and 90% of the time that's gonna just continue uninterrupted. They're probably gonna average 300-400 feet a day of pipe production. So if they start in the cul-de-sac, they might get to the intersection one day and then come around the corner the next day and get around to the next intersection. So that's an average pipe production crew is 400 feet a day. So you'll see them coming. So there will be time when they're building pipe right in front of your driveway. You can't get in and out. And they tend to just knock on doors, tell people, hey, we're coming. But the rest of the time, we expect you to have access to your home. And they build gravel ramps back behind them as they continue through. And the same thing for that Morningside intersection. We're going to keep at least one lane open through the intersection at all times. And so that there won't be any times that you cannot absolutely get in or out. So.
Emergency services too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that new firehouse is going to get commissioned in like 3 months.
The what will?
The new firehouse there at Waverly. I'm hoping so. They were just calling me for new water meters, so they're getting the plumbing done.
Yeah, you're getting close.
Yeah.
Can I,
Yeah.
on the corner of 32nd and Country Club?
Yep.
That's like crash central. Right
Okay.
now. So if people are gonna be going eastbound, you're gonna have a lot of going westbound on 32nd, you're gonna have a lot of people turning right into the north on Country Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're going into town, we're gonna have to turn out of Morningside Drive onto 32nd and take a left, right? And that's gonna be one lane,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And that's the only way. So that's gonna be a bugger, a bear for the people on Morningside and 10 foot
Mm-hmm.
to turn left out of there. So again, I don't know if you can talk to folks about traffic control there. And also on that corner of Country Club and 32nd, there are so many accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. And there's that jog, because that's the county line, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
surveyors didn't line up right, back in the day when it was like, oh,
Just folks online, if you can't hear that, it's a discussion about traffic and the problems at Country Club and 32nd.
They need to have a flag man out there when they go.
Not all the time, but I can I got a couple of people I can reach out to and just see temporary stop signs. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that would help.
yeah. So yeah, I can see what I can make happen out there.
A roundabout would be a thing.
Yeah. Oh.
But also that left hand, you know, it's, for 6 months at least, we're gonna have only a left-hand turn out of Morningside to
Mhm.
32nd. That's the only way out.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. To that direction.
I mean, visibility isn't great because of the dip where the bridge is, you know?
Yeah.
on 32nd.
Yes.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, I
You gotta
mean,
really watch that.
I just really hope that there's some good thought to traffic control.
We haven't traffic control plans. You know, part of that thought process was just not getting you into the oncoming lanes, but with enough barrels, I could probably make some, let you guys have a westbound movement through this. That a good portion of 32nd is going to be 4 lanes wide, and really I only need 1 lane to get people moving in one direction.
I don't need a
We could revisit that.
solution, I'm just.
No, we could revisit that if we wanted to try to get 1 lane each direction, but on just one side of the road. The biggest battle, the 2 biggest battles I got to fight is getting you back to the light at Waverly, which shouldn't be too much of a hassle, but you need to be under the correct light, facing the right way at Waverly. And then just making sure that it's kind of like clearly labeled, like, hey, you are, this lane of traffic's getting cut down to 1 lane. So we could revisit that. I'll revisit it with the,
Majority of people are gonna be turning on Morningside. I mean, from Morningside, if they go to the east, the majority of them are gonna be turning north on Country Club, so that's
that's, and so maybe if I
something.
keep the a local westbound lane, divert everybody away from the job site. People are gonna cheat, but
Well, I wonder about, there's a driveway kind of right here.
mhm.
Feeds into this,
Yeah,
I don't know what you call it.
yeah,
Well, it's not trailer.
Hidden Creek. Hidden Creek.
Yeah, and that's really filled in, and that's really caused a lot of more traffic.
Okay.
Like, say, 5 years ago, there wasn't half the traffic there is now.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people that utilize, go in and out of here.
Mhm.
I would just hope for maybe a 3-way stop here and a 4-way here.
Okay.
somehow. And this, because they're gonna turn right, so that would be safer, and then you
Yeah.
get visibility all the way until they dip. The river's right here, no, where am I? Yeah, river's right, no, right here.
Yep,
It is
right there.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of winds around like that.
Yeah.
But, that's probably 30, 40 feet dip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you just can't see it. So if you're going 50, we can make it because we're used to it, but
Yeah, yep, yep.
if that's the
I-
only
I-
way, everybody's going always left.
I can revisit this.
That'd be good.
It started with just, we've tried some things, and
Yep.
this seemed to be the simplest of like, hey, one thing doesn't work, but we can revisit it and see what other options I can get on here. If they give me temporary stop signs or maybe permanent ones, we can install some stop signs out there and turn those into all-way stops or such. Yeah. We could certainly help that out.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being
It helps to, I've already heard a few things I need to change on the project, so I appreciate that.
You put a lemonade stand out?
If we put donuts, will they speed up the whole project a little?
They'll slow them down, though. The more break time to eat all the donuts.
Oh, I know, one on paving.
Yeah.
So if they're done with, they're gonna start at the cul-de-sac, or the, whatever, bottom
Mhm.
of Kenwood Drive. So, yeah, phase 2 is 32nd Street, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so once phase 1 is completed, would that be paved? Or are you gonna do paving
So
the whole
it's
thing?
different crews that do the work.
Yeah, okay.
And so what we try to, the rule we keep with them is if somebody's restoring, you can keep making money by laying more new water main. So probably what you'll see is phase 1 get tore up, the new main get put in and installed, and they'll have someone starting to gravel in, building road and getting everything set up, and we'll start tearing up 32nd and getting into 32nd while they're getting, the rest of Morningside paved. And so we kind of let them, as long as they're still restoring, that you just can't open it all up. But there is an overlap of work sequence, and we're aware of that. So we if you're paving this section, you can keep working on some, because it is 2 different crews and 2 different work styles. So,
And it's a two-phase project. When you put the pavement down, you put this underlayment or the
Yes.
rough course down first,
Yep.
and then the top
Yeah.
over the top.
yeah. And so this is kind of sad. You see it especially in 32nd, where we're going to come back with a stronger pavement build in at least half of the road, where we're going to cut it in where we can, get a more, in my world, a structural build of pavement.
Are you gonna do both sides of the road on 32nd?
We'll pave both sides, but only where I'm digging the big holes are we going to build a thick cross section of pavement.
If you start on the west end of Kenwood, which is the cul-de-sac,
Mm-hmm.
are you gonna come straight to Morningside or go around that jog? Do you have any idea?
Probably what you'll see is that full pavement get taken out all the way to 32nd in one day. The one lane.
Oh,
And so we'll open up one lane and then we'll open the access and that, and then they'll come back they'll probably keep some of the millings and build in the driveway ramps to get you over that milled out pavement.
How about the drain? Can you work on the drain?
Not at this point. So you're talking, I think it's the Maplewood Intercounty Drain. That's the river.
It's like county drain.
Yeah.
The one by, your house.
It was under the road right there by
you
the
talking
park.
about the creek that runs beside us?
Yeah.
So we are not improving any of the county drain.
Just a big culvert under the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, okay.
Yeah, and so we're pushing our, in 32nd, we're gonna line that portion of the main. We're not gonna even dig it up, and then Morningside, just get our main put in through it.
All this information's gonna be online if we wanna get together with any.
Yes, yeah, so I will keep this presentation up on YouTube for a while, at least a couple weeks. Carl did ask, what's the expected end date for the Morningside Kenwood portion? I expect 6 to 8 weeks of pipe work, and then a couple weeks to get the pavement put back together. So about 2.5 months. So if they start in April, that has us turning the corner around June to July.
Thank you.
Nice. Really good.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you, John? Yeah.
So I think that was the one question online from Carl. And then hopefully everybody that attended in the chambers is happy. Okay.
Good presentation.
All right. So we're going to end the online portion, and we'll just see if anybody wants to take a individual look at plans.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.